If you live in California, whatever. You live in Canada and you can't skate, it's a real bush league.
You live in Italy and you can't skate? Well,
yeah,
whatever.
You could be on the Olympic team.
Yeah. Oh, good.
You've heard of hockey? You're on the team.
You're there.
My mom's Italian. I should have tried out for the. I don't know if they had open tryouts for the Italian Olympic team, but I should have put together like a highlight pack or something.
How many goals, Jake, does Italy score? Sweden, Finland, Slovakia. There's a good chance that they maybe only score 2 or 3 goals in their 5 games.
3 might be generous.
At Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog, the 2026 Winter Olympics Men's Hockey Tournament picks, bets, and preview. What do I know about hockey? Nothing at all. You smashed the like, though, for my honesty on that. So I had to bring in some ringers for this one. People familiar with the show will know Chris Meaney very, very well. Jake Hahn from SiriusXM is here as well. Guys, who's going to win this? Canada's the favorite. They don't win in Europe.
Pat, you didn't bring on 2 Canadians for nothing here. I'm taking Canada. Canada's winning this thing. If you wanted somebody to come on and pick Slovakia, you should have brought a Slovakian guy on the show. Meaney, what do you think? Are we riding Team Canada here?
You know, it's funny. Last time we did this with Mayo for the Four Nations face-off, we were just like, coming in here and talking about Canada, the favorites, like, is there anybody else to really talk about? At the end of the day, what happened? Canada won. And, I think the roster may be slightly better this time. And the USA squad left a couple big time goal scorers off their squad like they did this time a few months ago. So, yeah, we're not breaking news here. Canada's pretty good. And at plus 120, I see over at Cool Bets, it may be mispriced, Pat.
Yeah, there's a lot of Winter Olympic stuff, and CoolBet has like the entire gamut of everything that you would want for the men's hockey tournament and the women's hockey tournament. Goal scorers by teams, overall points getter, MVP, obviously the winner. The game-by-game matchup and odds are already out. So if you're in Canada, I know some of you are outside of Ontario, which is a bit more of a listen, two of the 3 of us are outside of Ontario in Canada. We can use CoolBet. Hit the description. Go get your bonus. Go bet on Canada if you want to. You can go bet on Finland at 13-1, I suppose. But Canada is a plus 120 favorite to win this tournament. Jake, USA's plus 215, 6-1 on Sweden, 13-1 on Finland. The Czech Republic is 15-1. Then there's a big drop off. We talked about this during the Four Nations Cup that, like, eventually they got to get Russia back in these things, don't they?
I would love to see that. I'm sure Meaney's on this side as well. And every time I break down the World Junior Tournament as well, which has actually become very competitive in recent years, I always think, man, how good would this be if Russia was involved as well? Because the Czechs have taken a huge step and they've had a really good squad the last few years. So if you threw Russia in there, yeah, I'm missing the Russian squad, guys. I really am. And even if they're playing the villain role, I think that's a lot of fun for the tournament. So unfortunately, they're not there. I do like Canada as the favorite, although, Meaney, I will say that the U.S., they probably have the easiest group of any of these top teams. I think they should have a very comfortable quarterfinal matchup if they play their cards right here. So the path is there for them. But I agree with what you said. They left too many goals, too many elite goal scorers. I mean, Cole Caulfield, Jason Robertson, Alex DeBrincat, guys that are 30 goal scorers already in the NHL. I'm very confused at how the U.S. put this roster together. Clearly, they're going for size. I think they're trying to specifically beat Team Canada. I don't know if that's the best strategy for the American squad.
Question.
Yeah, I think
Question. I just want to jump in. Question for listen. It's not the Olympic ice isn't going to be that much bigger, Meaney. Like, I remember growing up, there was one rink around that we used to play in that had Olympic size ice versus the regular size ice, and it's a bit wider. And if you bring all of the big guys with you, isn't that going to hurt you on Olympic ice?
Yeah, if you go back and look at men's hockey through the Olympics, I think it's only twice it's been like an NHL-sized arena. Other times, it's a little bit wider. This arena is going to be a touch smaller than the NHL size arena, but I think a bigger ice surface would certainly benefit a team like Canada. When you look at some of the NHL edge stats, the fastest players in the world are on Team Canada: Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid and Cale Makar. I mean, those are the 3 top skaters essentially in the NHL. USA has some guys, but Canada's got a ton of speed. But going back to Jake's point, Bill Guerin and company have said that they want to run it back. They have unfinished business. They did take Team Canada to, overtime the last time out, but the offense did dry up. And, you look at some of the top goal scorers in the NHL that Jake alluded to, they're not on this team. And they did bring back some players that didn't play a huge role in that final game, like Trocheck and Brock Nelson. These guys were limited in terms of ice time. Their top scorer at the time, American top scorer Kyle Connor, was a healthy scratch in that gold medal game. So just really interesting decisions. Again, left off some big time players, and Canada's got, they're really top heavy. But I think that they are going to finish as the 1 seed, USA, given their group against Latvia, Germany, who I like. I'm going to talk about Germany a little bit here, and Denmark. I think that ultimately they will be the 1 seed, and that will avoid a matchup probably against Canada until potentially the gold medal game.
So there's different markets you can play at coolbet.com right now. One of them, Jake, is the most goals scored during the round robin. And as Meaney just alluded to, the USA group is the easiest of the groups. They're only plus 140. That seems like a pretty good price.
I think so, right? You're going to see some of these teams run it up. And when I look at the group that Sweden's in, Sweden being, I guess we're calling the third team, although you could argue Finland's right there with them and the odds would indicate that Finns aren't far off. They got a difficult matchup. They're going to have to play each other in the round robin, which I'm really looking forward to. The Finns and the Swedes, always a great rivalry. So there's one kind of tough game for each of those teams. And then I look at what Canada's going to have. I look at what the US is going to have. Now, Canada's tougher game will be against the Czechs. The Swiss could also give them a little bit of issues possibly in that game. They've always tend to give Canada issues in the past. So I think Meaney's right. US has probably the best, easiest path in the round robin. I would play that number on the US. I think they could run it up in a couple of these games. Now, I do think Germany could have a little bit of a pushback. I know Meaney mentioned he wanted to bring up the German squad. I think they could be very sneaky in this tournament overall. But if that's the US's toughest matchup out of the first 3 games, Pat, I'm rolling with the US. I actually really like that number over at Coolbet.
Yeah, so plus 140, meaning USA's minus 1,000. So bet 1,000 to win 100 on the US to win Group C. It's them, Germany, Latvia, and Denmark, who apparently plays hockey. That's fantastic. Is there I feel like we're missing countries here.
Russia. We're missing Russia that you mentioned, right? That's the biggest one.
Yeah, well, Russia's not here, or the Russian collection of athletes, or whatever the hell they're calling themselves, they won gold 2 times ago, right? Because the NHL guys haven't played since what, 2014?
Yeah,
2014,
and
2014.
Canada won in 2014 and 2010.
Yeah, and then the Olympic athletes from Russia won in 2018 in Pyeongchang, and then Finland won in 2022. But there's nothing we can take away from that with a bunch of scrubs.
No, there really isn't. There weren't any NHL players there, so I mean, good on Finland to get that done. And Jake mentioned that matchup against Sweden is going to be a really good one. They won that game against Sweden, right, for third place in the Four Nations faceoff. It was a really tight matchup. This is the rival, just like Canada and US, and there's a big gap when I look at Coolbet, like from 6-1 to 13-1. I don't see Finland winning this. I don't see them winning the gold, but I wouldn't be shocked if they were a third place finisher. Like if they were able to beat Sweden in the round robin, and whether they meet up with them again, like they play this kind of defensive style hockey, and if they can get some sort of offense from some of their top guys, I could see them taking down Sweden.
Jake, over at NHL Sirius XM, are people pumped to have the NHLers back in the Olympics? Because as a viewer, I think we were all wanting to see this.
We're real pumped. We're real pumped, Pat. We are, because look, we've been banging this drum for a while. We're hockey fans at the end of the day. We just want to see the best hockey, and this does produce the best hockey. I think it's a distant memory for a lot of people. There might be people young enough that don't even remember 2014 and the NHL players playing at the Olympics. But if you want to get a look at what it is, it's basically NHL playoff hockey, and you multiply it by 2 or 3. It's so intense. And, I think back to 2010, 2014, it's just great hockey, especially when you get into the later rounds, the quarterfinals, the semis. So we're excited. We're still going to be doing shows at Sirius. So I don't know what we're going to be talking about other than the Olympic hockey. I'm a big Winter Olympics guy in general, Pat. So maybe I'll start giving out like biathlon picks or something like that. I don't know. I'll find some content to bring to the people at Sirius XM, but we're excited, and we're probably going to be having to watch a lot of the games while we're on the air, not airing the games. So that's going to be a bit of a
Indeed, more struggles on the internet, apparently, Meaney. But the other, if you do want to bet, Gabe and I just did a Winter Olympics picks and bets preview where we gave out some curling bets. We gave out mixed doubles. Italy, apparently, Meaney, is the bet of the Olympics at plus 130. If you're really into mixed doubles curling as the home team. this time around.
Games.
When I guess, I mean, I'll throw it to you because obviously you work for NHL and Jake is at SiriusXM NHL, but what was the thought about taking the NHL players out of the Olympics in the first place? Like, I know that the NHL is big, especially in Canada, and the Stanley Cup means a lot, but it does kind of feel like this tournament elevates above the NHL in a way when you get all of the best players together, that it's a real global focus, and losing that is just bad PR for the sport.
Yeah, I can't really speak as to why they didn't go. I'm not 100% sure on that, but you're totally right. I mean, that's what Jake mentioned. Like, a lot of people are excited about this because it's been quite some time. And, you know, when you look at the top players in the NHL, we hadn't seen them best on best until the Four Nations. And that was a huge win for the NHL. Nobody thought, you know, that it would be that fantastic. It was physical. It was tough. The intensity was there. There were fights. I don't think we'll see that at the Olympics. It's like a little bit of a different style. There's not going to be players dropping the gloves, I don't believe. But that Team Canada and USA game that we got in Montreal, where there were 3 fights in the game, there were 2 off the hop right away, off the face-off. So the intensity is there. And again, best on best. We hadn't seen. I mean, we all know about Sidney Crosby, and he's still playing like fine wine. But this guy, along with the other players like McDavid, like McKinnon, and then you start to mix in Czechia, you know, who weren't there at the Four Nations face-off, David Pastrnak, Martin Necas, Thomas Hertl. There's some good players there. You know, Jake mentioned Switzerland's there, Kevin Fiala, Nico Hischier. There's some really good players that we didn't see at the Four Nations face-off. Leon Draisaitl for Team Germany that are going to get a chance to play. So yeah, best on best. It's good for the sport. It's going to be very, very intense, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. But you mentioned USA as leading the Olympics in goals. I like that as well. And I just want to go back to some numbers here. Like, Brady Tkachuk is 45-1 to lead the Olympics in goals, and he's kind of a long shot on USA as well to lead his team in goals. Not really a long shot at plus 550. He was on the 4th line, Pat, to start for Team USA, and he eventually moved himself up on that top line with his brother Matthew and Jack Eichel, who I think is the best center on Team USA. Don't be surprised if Brady puts his, you know, fingerprints on this tournament again as a lethal player and a guy who shoots the puck, and he could certainly lead this whole thing in goals. And at 45-1, that's a pretty good number.
I want to go group by group and get a sense of some of these teams. So again, coolbet.com has Canada at minus 435 to win Group A. Czechia is in there at 6-1. Switzerland is plus 750, and France is at 500-1. And after speaking with Morency, I just assumed that both Italy and France would just take Canadian people with French and Italian sounding last names and put them on their team, but that apparently is not what happened. Jake, I thought that Team Italy would have been like, hey, let's go to Vaughan and Woodbridge and like build a team.
Well, yeah, Vaughn and Woodbridge. That's a great. You could go to my men's league. There's a lot of those guys, right? And some of them are pretty good, actually. They might be better than the players that the Italian squad's rolling out there. And I believe that the French players are just playing with stale baguettes. I'm not. I looked at the roster and I'm like, I have never heard of any of these guys. So look, these guys, it's going to be tough. The Italian squad's going to be out there. I think I saw the line against Sweden in their opening game. Meaney's like 4.5 goals. That might not be enough. Sweden could run that up. Sweden,
I agree.
Sweden's dealing with a lot of injuries. And look, these are angles we could play. I bet a lot of World Juniors, and you kind of go in. You don't really know the teams. I'm comfortable laying 3.5, 4.5 goals sometimes with these teams. They're going to try to run it up. So you might see a spread, and it might scare you off as a hockey bettor. But I got no problem laying up 4.5 goal spread with Sweden against a team like France or Italy.
Yeah, like France. Do they have can everyone on their team skate?
Yes, I think so, but they're just not going to be able to go head to head against some of these elite NHL players. I totally agree with Jake. If we get some sort of 4.5 line where Italy's playing or France is playing or Latvia is playing, I mean, 100%, there's no question. I would be taking the favorite there. So, I mean, France has one player, Alexander Texier. He's had a nice season for the Canadians, but when you just have one player who, is he was on waivers a year ago, right? So he's not an elite hockey player. He's a good, maybe middle 6 player in the NHL, but it's going to be really tough for some of these teams. And especially they don't really have the goaltending either. So it's, we're going to see a lot of lopsided games when those 3 teams are playing.
So, Jake, what makes Canada, especially in this group, like what are the strengths and weaknesses of this team? What is different with this roster construction from what we saw at the Four Nations Cup?
Not much different in terms of roster construction, Pat, but we are seeing some younger players get a chance here. Macklin Celebrini comes to mind right away as a guy that's just absolutely ripping up the National Hockey League. He looks like the next Connor McDavid, the next Sidney Crosby. Everybody's really excited about him, so he's going to get an opportunity. And I would like to think Canada's going to use him in a top 6 role. I don't think you're putting him on the 3rd line or the 4th line. I think he's going to get a chance with a really good player. I know Meaney mentioned Brady Tkachuk for most goals. I'm looking at Macklin Celebrini for most goals in the tournament, about 20-1. You could kind of look around, find a different number, but 20-1, most goals for Macklin Celebrini. This is for the entire tournament. I think they're going to put him with some great players. I think he's going to be an opportunity to score, and he's obviously shown this year that he can score. And I while people are maybe looking at McDavid, McKinnon, maybe opens up a little bit more space for a guy like Celebrini. The weakness, Pat, would be the goaltending. I think the goaltending is the huge question mark for Team Canada right now. Logan Thompson's been struggling recently. Jordan Binnington's been horrible all season. He was good at Four Nations for them, but goaltending is where Canada could get got in this tournament.
Celebrini is 30-1 to lead the Olympics in total goals at Coolbet Meaney. What happened to French-Canadian goalies? Do they not exist anymore?
No, I mean, Martin Brodeur and Marc-Andre Fleury, those guys are gone. Roberto Luongo, I mean, Carey Price we saw in 2010 and 2014 hold it down, especially in 2014. But that's been the strongest point, ever since I started watching hockey. Patrick Waugh, all these guys, there was no issue at all when it came to Team Canada's goalies. But Jake is right. It's not good. And I think it's even maybe worse than heading into the Four Nations face-off. Binnington wasn't good heading into the Four Nation face-off, but we talked about the experience. That's what it was. It's like, oh, he's won a Stanley Cup before. He's won some elimination games in the playoffs in Game 6 or Game 7, whatever it was. And he was fantastic in that gold medal game against Team USA. But can he be good again? Because when you look at the other side and the top team in USA, they have 3 strong goalies that all 3 are better than, any of Team Canada's goalies. So I think that they're going to open up with Binnington. If he doesn't play well, they could turn to Logan Thompson, who I do have a little bit more faith in, but Jake is also right. He hasn't played good hockey of late. And then their third is Darcy Kemper, who's a guy who's won a cup, but hasn't shown us a whole lot. So that's certainly their Achilles heel. But when you have, Cale Makar on the back end and you're loaded up offensively, you're not going to give up a whole lot. Macklin Celebrini's on my short list here as well. 30-1. I love the call. And also 7-1 to lead Team Canada. I totally agree. I think he's going to play with either McDavid or he's going to play on a line with Sidney Crosby, who vouched for him in the offseason to be on this team. And also that's going to be a potential line with Nathan McKinnon. So that's those are 3 strong options.
Would you expect to see him on the power play, even knowing that in Olympic hockey there are far fewer penalties than there would be in a regular tournament?
I don't think so. Not on that first unit. It's possible. I think they rolled out a first unit of Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid, Makar, and I think Sam Reinhart was on that first power play. So, I mean, he's a guy that's been pretty lethal over the past couple of years on the power play, but I think it's possible, right, Jake? Like they may start with Reinhart, but if Celebrini, I mean, he's 19 years old. He's top 5 in scoring. He's among leaders in assists. He's got 40 some odd more points than the next closest Shark. He's moved from 301 to 2-1 to win the MVP in a matter of what feels like weeks. So he could certainly play himself on the top power play.
I think you're looking at Crosby, McDavid, McKinnon, I think Makar, and then you got that 5th spot. I mean, none of those guys are going to a second unit. So there's 4 for sure that are on the first unit. And then you get a lot of guys that kind of do the same thing. So I think that's why you might see Celebrini bump down to the second unit in this instance, but it's still a second unit that's probably going to get some looks. So look, we're speculating a lot on line combos and things like that, but you follow the league close enough, you kind of know what they could do. I could see John Cooper putting one of his Tampa Bay Lightning players in front of the net on the power play though.
For Canada, Nathan McKinnon is the top odds to be the top goal scorer, plus 220. McDavid at plus 250. Then it's Sam Reinhart at plus 650. Celebrini, as you mentioned, Meaney at 7-1. Crosby's 10-1. It's not going to be Crosby at 10-1.
No, I don't think so. But he's still playing really good. Like I could see him maybe leading the tournament or leading Canada in points.
But not goals.
Yeah, but not goals. And you look at the top goal scorers in the NHL and even shooters. McKinnon is leading the league in shots and shot attempts. It's not even close. McDavid is second behind him as well, and he's shooting the puck quite a bit. McDavid has talked about this being the most important couple of weeks of his life. I mean, this is something he dreamed of. We've never seen him on this big stage like that. No disrespect to the Four Nations face-off. This is completely different. So I just feel like he's going to be beast mode. So it'll be really tough for Crosby to lead in goals.
Jake, tell me about Czechia and what they do well and why they could pose a threat here.
Well, they play a really solid team game. Now, I do think that Czechia is on the mind of a lot of hockey fans right now because they've had so much success lately at the World Juniors. The last few years, they've been really good. They've made the medal round basically every single year. They've kind of been Russia while Russia's not there and taken over that role. And they've had a really, really good run at the juniors. I would say be careful playing this team because I look at the roster. It is very top heavy. You got guys like Pastrnak and Natchez and Tomáš Hertl. They do have some really good NHL players, but Meaney, that blue line on Czechia, that would concern me if I'm trying to back this team in any sort of big game. Now they can come together. They could play that team game. They tend to play really well against Canada. And that's the opening game of the tournament, Canada versus Czechia. I believe I saw Canada's about a -350 to -400 favorite in that game. You could argue maybe that's a little too steep, but
more.
I'm not considering
more.
Czechia. I don't like the blue line.
-475 Canada, +350 Czech Republic.
That's a little steep, Meaney, for me. I just think with the Canadian goaltending issues, we don't know what we're going to get. Czechia is probably going to try to muck that game up. I could see them at the very least keeping it within the goal spread. Maybe you play +2.5 Czechia, something like that, and Canada eases into the tournament a little bit. But I don't like the Czechs long term. I don't love that blue line.
So, Meaney, you can go on Cool Bet right now. You can bet the money line or the puck line, or you can just go to the spread and you can adjust it. So there's like 2.5, 1.5, or even just a half. I went to Czechia +1.5. It's +125.
It's pretty good, man. Like, Jake brings up some good points about them being top heavy. And I think certainly they have some questions on the blue line. I mean, Filip Hronek looks like their top defenseman, Radko Gudas. I mean, these are guys that are just not world class. And one thing I will say is they got Vejmelka between the pipes, who is among the leaders in wins this season and also since January 1st of 2025. So it's been over a year where he is right there with Andrei Vasilevskiy in terms of wins. Now his ratios are not as good and he's not as good as Vasilevskiy, but he's a guy that's had a lot of experience. He's played a lot of hockey and he could keep them in it. I see some sort of 3-1, 4-1 type hockey game though. I feel like at the end of the day, Canada's offense will just kind of be living in Czechia's zone. And it's nice that they have those top players, but I just don't feel like they'll be able to sustain anything offensively. One thing I will say I have here on a short list is Martin Natchez is 6-1 to lead Czechia in goals. Pastrnak is the favorite at +175. I think we will see some sort of, those two guys are pretty speedy. I could see some sort of Pasta and Zaka line combo. Those guys are familiar with each other in Boston, where Natchez maybe could be that third player on that line. And at 6-1, Pasta's just turned, I know he can shoot, Jake, but he's turned into this playmaker. He had a game a few weeks ago where he had 6 assists. I think he's leading the NHL in primary assists. So I think it's 6-1 for Czechia. When they play some weaker teams, once they get past, Canada and you see a game against France or a game against Switzerland, I think that's a game where like maybe Natchez can rack up a couple goals for them.
I'm trying to think here that if you guys just said that Canada's goaltending sucks, do you think they're going to limit Czechia to a goal?
Well, with that kind of offense, I mean, Meaney just mentioned it. David Pastrnak is one of the best offensive players going right now, and he's turned into a bit of a playmaker this year. I don't know where that's come from, but he's just a good player in general. So I think they should be able to. I just think the problem is, and Meaney mentioned it as well, Canada's going to be playing in their zone basically the entire game. I just think the zone time might not be there for them to challenge the Canadian goaltending. Not saying they can't score and, maybe get a couple power plays and they'll have a pretty good power play unit to throw out there. So it could happen. I think Canada wins that game, but like I said, I feel like the Czechs can at least keep it close. I like the +2.5 goals is something I'd be looking at there.
Yeah, I got greedy. So I just bet, as we were talking on coolbet.com, +1.5 at +125 for Czechia against Canada. I also bet that Sweden -4.5 against France as well. Here's the thing. Endurance athletes never talk about this, but heavy lifting and training can quietly wreck sexual performance. Long cardio, high cholesterol, bad sleep, under recovery, it all hits the same systems that control blood flow and hormones. And when circulation drops, performance drops everywhere. Most guys reach for stimulants or prescriptions, but that's a blunt fix way downstream. Nitric oxide is the master switch for blood flow, endurance, and longevity. Once you understand that, joy mode makes total sense. If you want to support sexual performance the same way you should support training and recovery naturally and intelligently, Joy Mode has got a deal for my listeners. Go to tryjoymode.com/Mayo or enter Mayo at checkout for 20% off. Joy Mode, the electrolyte packet for your dick. Underdog's expanding the game. You already know their player picks. Pick higher or lower on player stats. Today, Underdog prediction markets are live in 25 states. Back your squad with spreads, handicap for closer game, or totals, higher lower combined score, combined with player picks for bigger payouts. New customers play $5 on fantasy, get $75 in fantasy bonus entries. Code Mayo. Team picks, player picks, all on Underdog. Cash App just released a new status program for the way that people actually spend Cash App Green. It unlocks new ways for you to pay, get rewarded, and easily grow or manage your money on your terms. Now, when you spend at least $500 a month with the Cash App or Cash App Pay, you earn green status, which unlocks benefits like up to $200 of free overdraft coverage, higher borrow limits, and custom personalized cashback offers every Friday at places you love to shop. Turn everyday spending into status with Cash App Green. Download Cash App today or visit cash.app/new to learn more about this and other great features launching now. For a limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use code CASHAPP10 in their profile at signup and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank. Member FDIC. Cash App Green overdraft coverage borrow. Cashback offers and promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. Group B, Meaney. Sweden is -145, Finland's +130. Those are the two teams in here, the two good teams. Slovakia is 18, then Italy, who, again, I don't even know if they play hockey, but they could be throwing out ghost runners on the ice for all I know. It's like a simulated game or something. They're 500-1 to win their group. But before we get to Sweden and Finland, what happened to Slovakia? Is it just a bad generation for them? Because I don't feel like they would normally be this far behind all of the other top teams. Like, they would be behind. They wouldn't be at like Switzerland's level. They would be better than that.
Yeah, I think a few years ago, was it 2010? I think they had a really good showing with Jarl Halak between the pipes. I believe they may have came third, won bronze, and that was obviously huge for the nation. I think what you said is true. Generation, a lot of those players, they're no longer in the NHL. They really only have Juraj Slafkovský, who's having a good season for the Canadians. I think he's in year 4 here. He was a top pick a couple years ago.
Yeah,
who
like
they're not play.
They're not unearthing. They're not unearthing Marian Gaborik for this one.
No Gaborik.
He's in the casino somewhere, probably.
Satan too, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a minute, Pat. That's why we're talking about, since 2014 we haven't seen best on best, but they don't have a whole lot here. I'm looking at our top 150 rankings. I mean, we have like 4 players in there, and a couple of them are blue liners. So it's gonna be a tough go for them, no question.
Do they have any sort of chance to not be third here? Like, could they stage an upset, Jake, over Sweden or Finland?
I think they could. I really do. And look, Slovakia does have the history. You mentioned it, Pat, right? Going back, this isn't a great version of the Slovakian squad. And I do worry about the goaltending, who's going to make a save here. So I wouldn't be predicting it. I think those are wins for Sweden and Finland. And then Sweden and Finland are ultimately going to duke it out for the top spot in the group. And Italy will just be feasted on by all these teams, including Slovakia, I would imagine. Unless the Italians throw us a curveball and really surprise us in this tournament. But I think we're all just looking forward to Sweden versus Finland to win that group. And honestly, I'm leaning towards Finland here. I think they always show up at these tournaments. Sweden's dealing with a lot of injuries. They're still really good, even with the players that they're bringing. I get that, but I like the Finns in this matchup. I think they win this group, and that's somewhere I'll be going in terms of a bet here, guys.
Tell me about this team, Meaney. What do they do well? Is it defense and goaltending?
It is, yeah. Finland plays this kind of like trappy type style. They have some really good defensive forwards on their team. I mean, up at the top, Mikko Rantanen is certainly a superstar, and he's got chemistry with Rupe Hintz. They were good together at Four Nations. They've been great together over the past few months with the Dallas Stars. But I look at their lineup, and Sebastian Aho, good defensive forward, Mikael Granlund, Arturi Lehkonen, Anton Lundell. Lusterainen, Lindell and Luosterainen, they had their coming out party when the Panthers won their second straight Stanley Cup. They were phenomenal together. And then, their blue line, I have some questions about their blue line. It's not as good. I think Team Sweden at full health may have arguably the best blue line right there with Team USA and Team Canada. But Finland will play this style where they're not going to go up and down and score a ton of goals. They're going to win a hockey game like low scoring. But I'm with Jake. I think it's probably the best value on the board for them to potentially medal or, win this group.
So to look at top three, so get a medal in this tournament, Jake, Finland is plus 150. Canada, US, and Sweden are all, -2 heavy favorites.
It's tough to mine value from any of those to win a medal, but if I'm looking down the board, guys, for a little bit of value, I know we mentioned them already. It's the German team for me that I think could put together an effort here. Now they've actually had success with the NHL players not there. I know this is a completely different ball game with the NHL players going, but you got Philip Grubauer in net, who's been one of the hottest goaltenders in the National Hockey League. They've got the top heavy players: Draisaitl, Timmy Stützle, JJ Peterka, Mo Seider on the back end. Now I don't know any of the blue liners past Mo Seider, and that's going to be a problem. He might have to play like 35 minutes in every single one of these games, but I like the German squad. And I think if they want to lean on their top players and really overplay these guys, which I would expect them to do, and if Grubauer continues playing well, I think they could be that frustrating dark horse team that could maybe get into a semifinal. And then you're looking at a pretty good number there with what they are to medal in this tournament.
Well, question on that then, because they are to take a look at like what their medal odds are right now. So you go to Team Germany, who's in Group C, by the way, with the US. To get a medal, they're plus 700. However, to win their group, which would be basically just be beating the US in a game, which almost theoretically they would have to do to win a medal anyway at some point, unless they ended up with some scrub team somehow in the bronze medal game, which doesn't look very likely. They're going to have to beat one of these, be it Sweden, Canada, or the US anyway, to win a medal. That if you just bet them to win their group, they're 8-1 to essentially win a game against the US and not blow it against Latvia.
Yeah, that's tough. I really do like them though, honestly. When you have Draisaitl, and I just look, and Jake mentioned it, you have a goaltender that has experience, who's playing great this year, who hasn't played great in a couple of years, but maybe just being named and going has kind of motivated his game. But he's among the leaders in save percentage and high danger save percentage and 5-5 save percentage. So he checks some boxes. You have Leon Draisaitl, who's one of the best players in the NHL. You have Moritz Seider, and Jake, he will play almost every single minute. I could see this guy leading the tournament in ice time. I have them as a Final Four team, and I think it's a little bit of an upset. I have them as the 5th seed, so I think they'll be in tough, certainly against USA, but I think they'll be able to take down Denmark. I think they'll be able to take down Latvia, maybe score a few goals, so be that 5th seed with some of the goal differential there. And then, their matchup, I have them facing Finland. So that'd be a tough one, a 4-5 matchup. But if they were able to beat Finland, then all of a sudden they're in the Final Four. And you're right, Pat, they would need to beat USA at least once. It's certainly tough for them to beat them, but I think this is a team that we can back. I think when we see maybe their team goals, if it's at like 2.5 or 3.5, I think we can get behind that. And I also think like maybe we take them on the spread. Like if we see them against Denmark and you get plus money at 2.5, like I'm going to be taking
Oh, you're getting plus money at 1.5. Minus 1.5 for Germany against Denmark is plus 131.
No question.
I'm already looking at that line, guys. So either you play the puck line minus 1.5. That's probably actually my favorite line of all the opening line games that I saw is Germany to beat Denmark. I mean, if you want to play the money line, obviously it's a little chalky, but you could maybe parlay Germany with Finland over Slovakia or Canada over Czechia if you feel confident. And then you're basically getting even money. So I think that's a good way to make a little money line parlay out of the gate, build the bankroll for the Olympics a little bit. I really like Germany in that game against Denmark. So yeah, puck line I'd be comfortable with, but maybe find a little money line parlay partner with one of the other games.
Oh, you can do this, Meaney. Sweden minus 4.5 against Italy. Germany minus 1.5 in their game against Denmark. 3-1.
Man, that's fantastic. And it's not just Draisaitl, it's Stützle too. Like, I don't know if they'll load up. They don't have a ton of, high offensive firepower, but they have enough where JJ Peterka in there as well, where they could have two lines. The power play can be good. And again, Draisaitl is a guy that can overtake a game. I mean, we know he's good, but he doesn't play a lot of 5-5 hockey with McDavid. So he's somebody who can certainly make his mark here. I like 3-1. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, 3-1 for those two opening match spreads at coolbet.com right now. And again, just hit the description, get your bonus, use the bonus money, build your bankroll, and boom, then you can waste it all on mixed doubles curling.
Oh, I'll be betting some curling, guys. I don't know anything about curling, but I love betting curling in the Olympics, or really just anything I can get on my screen and I can get some money down on, maybe some alpine skiing. But I need to see Cuss try some of these sports though, Pat. That's the content I want to see on this channel here moving forward.
We keep trying to get him. Well, he's already told us that curling is the most dangerous and hard sport in the world. So
it's difficult, but
hard.
it's extremely difficult. But I don't know if it's the most dangerous sport.
Yeah.
You could slip, Meaney. You could slip on that ice.
You could slip on that ice. I have before playing. I've had a few too many pops, I think, every time I curl.
Put it this way. Can you... Let me ask you this, and I think this is what it comes down to. I'm not saying that curling isn't hard to be great at it. All of these sports, because the guy got really mad at me yesterday because when I was arguing with Cust about it, it's like, do you think that bowling is hard? He's like, yeah, bowling's really hard. And so like, why don't you go try to bowl a 300 game? It's like, well, yeah, of course, but we're comparing it to the fucking half pipe. Like
I need to see him try biathlon. That's the one I really. Skiing and shooting could be dangerous though.
Yeah, I don't think that he would probably come back from that. I don't think he would get his heart rate down low enough after the skiing portion to be allowed to shoot the gun because it'd be like 210. But the way I would categorize it, it's no different than golf. I love golf. Golf is exceptionally hard. I'm not going to say it's harder than downhill skiing. It's not.
No, downhill skiing. Tried it once, and I could skate pretty decently. And skiing's tough. Snowboarding's even harder. Yeah.
Like if you can do it drunk and be like 85% as good as like you would be sober, it's probably not the most difficult thing going.
I used to snowboard a decent amount growing up, but if anybody asks me to go now, I think about all the entire downside of it, and I'm at this point, it's just me going to get hurt. I'd rather just sit in the chalet, sip a couple drinks, and that's where I'm at in life, Pat. I don't know if you agree, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I agree.
I went skating with my kids about 2 weeks ago, like during the very first cold, where the lakes ended up freezing. So I totally forgot to get my skates sharpened from last year. So I'm out there with like no edges on my skates, and just the muscles that you use skating, like that even kind of like put me up for 6 hours. Like my lower back was super sore. I was like, I forgot these are all like muscles I don't use ever.
Yeah, your feet were probably hurting too. Like you hadn't put your feet in skates in quite some time. But yeah, it's good to get the kids out there though. Did they enjoy it?
Oh, they love it. Like, they're in skating year round now to like get prepared. Because you want to know how to skate. Like I know a few people who can't skate. It's a real bad look. Being Canadian, listen, if you live in California, whatever. You live in Canada and you can't skate, it's a real bush league.
You live in Italy and you can't skate? Well,
yeah,
whatever.
You could be on the Olympic team.
Yeah. All good.
You've heard of hockey? You're on the team.
You're there.
My mom's Italian. I should have tried out for the. I don't know if they had open tryouts for the Italian Olympic team, but I should have put together like a highlight pack or something.
How many goals, Jake, does Italy score? Sweden, Finland, Slovakia. There's a good chance that they maybe only score 2 or 3 goals in their 5 games.
3 might be generous. I don't know. Maybe they surprise us. Maybe they've got this like Italian sensation nobody's heard of, and he's out there dangling. That would be a cool story at the Olympics. But I think it's more likely we see them get 1 or 2 goals, and they probably get very excited about it. And maybe it'll be a bit of a feel good moment. I'd like to see them open the scoring in a game. That would be fun, and play with the lead for at least like a few minutes. But I don't think they score more than 3 in this tournament.
They strike me as Trinidad and Tobago from Mighty Ducks 2, that if they score, it's going to be like the biggest celebration of all time.
Yeah. And it should be, right? To Jake's point, like if they, they're the hosts here, they don't have any NHL players, they're going to be massive underdogs. If they do get a couple goals, like they should celebrate like they won this thing. And if they can get up in a game and get a 1-0 lead or a 2-0 lead, look out. It could be fun.
They really missed out on Celebrini. They were like, that guy sounds Italian. Let's get him. And then when Canada took him, they were like, no NHLers for us. We need to go to the worst possible version of the team. This happened to us, though, in a tournament once. Because like where Meaney and I are from the same place, Jake. So I went to go play in the Founders Cup for lacrosse when I was 16, like the national championship. And we played in the first game. Our region had never been represented before because no one out here is like good at lacrosse. We were the best team going, and we played the host team, which I believe was Halton Hills, which is I think Georgetown, which is apparently very good at lacrosse. And we scored the first goal in the game, and we were fired up. We were like, this is it. Like they didn't see us coming. We lost 28-1.
Well, at least you had that moment, right? You guys will always remember that moment where you had the goal, you had the lead for a little bit, and then it was short-lived. I wish the Italian team did what the World Baseball Classic does, where it's like if you just know an Italian person,
you can be on the team.
You're allowed to play. That's it. That's all
awesome.
you need to do. Just if you've talked to an Italian person before, there you go. You can back clean up on the Italian baseball team. That's how we should be doing it.
Meaney, break down Sweden for me. What does you said that they were banged up? Who's missing? But what are they still doing well here?
Yeah, I mentioned their defense. It does sound like Victor Hedman's going to be able to play, which is huge for them. But when you look at their defense, Rasmus Dahlin, Victor Hedman, Erik Karlsson, who's a little bit older, but I thought he was fantastic in the Four Nations faceoff. Some of these guys just elevate. Like Mika Zibanejad didn't have a great season last year. He was on a crappy Rangers team that wasn't playing good, and you can say the same thing again at this time. But he elevated his game, and he was one of the better players. He was a surprise. Like he was plus money for a point in the first game, and he had a couple, and it's like, you could just tell right away that certain players are going to have different roles, and whatever it is putting on their country on the jersey it elevates their game. But I look at Sweden, I see Hedman, I see Dahlin, I see Karlsson, I see Rasmus Andersson. Hampus Lindholm was just announced to the squad, so they do have some injuries. They're a little bit banged up, but none of their huge guys are. I don't think Jake, any of their big time players are really going to miss this thing. It sounds like William Nylander is good to go. I know he had a full practice I think yesterday. So that's huge for them. Adrian Kempe is a elite goal scorer. Philip Forsberg as well. Lucas Raymond's having a great season. Ricard Raquel. There's a lot of good players on this team. Joel Eriksson Ek, Jesper Bratt as potential third line players. Elias Pettersson hasn't had a good couple of years, but he's a couple of years removed from a 100-point season. He get away from the Vancouver Canucks, and go play for Team Sweden. This is a team to me. I know we talked about Finland and Canada and USA is heavy. This is a team to me that I just wouldn't be shocked if they won gold. That wouldn't shock me at all. They're strong between the pipes with Philip Gustafsson. So, yeah, man, they got a lot of firepower, and I think defensively they can bring it.
Jake, the NHL season goes through Thursday, February 5th, right? Like that's the last day of games?
That is the last day, and then there's going to be a trade freeze as well for anybody interested in the trade deadline. Might get some movement before that, but yeah, February 4th. That's when we're shutting things down here Thursday.
So there's still time for. We're recording this a week before the tournament is actually starting to give people some time to get some stuff, get some money down on this. Coolbet.com, but guys could get hurt in the next week.
They could.
Well, and like Meaney said, we've got guys kind of coming back, and I think they've planned it this way. Like William Nylander, he's been in and out of the lineup for the Maple Leafs all season. He wants to get back. I mean, the Leaf season looks cooked now at this point, so he wants to get back out there, make sure showing he's healthy, and he's going to be a top player for Team Sweden. I'm just worried for Sweden that, yes, players are going to be back, or it looks like they're going to be back, and you're right, Pat, something could happen over the next week where somebody comes out of the lineup. I'm just worried at what their health level is. Are you're just coming back because you want to play in the Olympics? Of course you do. So I'm worried that a lot of guys aren't at 100% on this roster. I do have Philip Forsberg down here as a guy to keep an eye on in the props market, maybe to lead the team in points, lead the team in goals, something like that. If you could find a number, I think Forsberg's being undervalued a little bit compared to some of the top guys on Team Sweden.
Forsberg is 4-1 to be the highest goal scorer, not points getter, but goal scorer on Team Sweden right now.
I think that's a good number. I have a couple guys written down here. Kempe at 7-1, Raymond at 10-1, and Mika Zibanejad, I think maybe the best value on Team Sweden at 15-1. Again, I thought he was great. I thought he played a big role. He's most likely going to be on that top power play. I'd say he's definitely inside their top six. Forsberg and Kempe are more shooters than Mika Zibanejad, but I was just really impressed with him in February. I thought he was really good, and he's having a good season for the Rangers. So I would fade William Nylander. He's probably at the top of the board there as the favorite to lead Team Sweden in goals, just given, it sounds like he's going to play, but, he could suffer some sort of setback, and, that would just the odds aren't good enough to roll with him.
Group C, the USA group. Jake, break down Team USA for me.
Well, look, we kind of said it off the top. They didn't take the goal scorers I wanted them to take, or I think they should have taken. Now, that's just my opinion, that Bill Guerin's built this roster, or he's been a part of a group that's built this roster, and they like what they've got. They're going to steamroll this group. I know we did talk about Team Germany briefly, and I do like them as kind of a dark horse, but the U.S. at the end of the day should win that game, and they should get a very comfortable path right to a quarterfinal and get a comfortable matchup. They have great goaltending. They have 3 different guys they could all go to at the part of this tournament. The blue line is really strong, and it is still relatively deep up front. So for me, I think they lack those lethal goal scorers, but you still got Austin Matthews, you still got Jack Eichel. This is a really good team. They're second favorite on the board for a reason, and nobody would be surprised if they won gold. Meaning, I don't love the way that they constructed this roster in some areas, and I think they left some really good goal scorers at home. And if these games are going to be decided by 1 goal in the quarterfinal, semi, the gold medal game, I want those guys that can change a game in an instant. I think the U.S. left too many of them at home.
Well, that's just it. I feel like they took some players to kind of like play these defensive shutdown roles. It's just really not going to work. I mean, if you're going to play Trocheck against McDavid or Nathan McKinnon's line, it's going to be a win for Team Canada. So to leave Jason Robertson off the squad it's extremely shocking. He's been among the leaders in the NHL in terms of goals over the past 3 or 4 seasons. Cole Caulfield, I get it. He's a little bit of a smaller type. Bill Guerin's been vocal about leaving those type of players off, but he's another, elite goal scorer, and Alex DeBrincat. So interesting decision on some of these guys. I want to shout out Tage Thompson, though, who wasn't there for Team USA, who I think could be a sleeper. Pat, I think you got to scroll all the way down to see some of his numbers. Like I do believe I saw 100-1 potentially to
Who is this guy?
Tage Thompson. Where you see Tage Thompson anywhere on your
Tage Thompson 17-1 to score the most goals on Team USA.
I think he might be like 100-1 overall to lead the Olympics in goals.
Oh, really?
He is he's lethal. Like I don't know if you can find that number, but
100-1. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't
already bet.
I mean, why not, right? Pizza money here. Like, he's a guy that could move up and down the lineup. I wasn't impressed with Jack Hughes at all. I could see them like giving him a short leash if he doesn't produce again alongside Austin Matthews, and that that duo is quiet. Tage Thompson's a guy that can play on the wing. He can play. I think we're set with the Kachuk brothers and Eichel. That line was so good. I think that's going to be the first line, and I think we'll see Tage Thompson move up the lineup, whether he's playing on that second line with Matthews, Jake Gensel, Boldy. He has an elite shot. Ever since NHL has been tracking these shots, over the last 5 years, nobody's had more 90+ mile an hour shots, 100+ mile an hour shots. He's among the leaders in 5 goals. Like he is a difference maker. And at the World Championships, he played for Team USA. They won. There wasn't a lot of like big time NHL players there, but he was awesome in that tournament. So I think he's a dark horse player that could, score a few goals here. And I mean, Jake's right. They're going to steamroll this whole thing. And I think winning and having the 1 seed is huge because you avoid Canada and US and Sweden potentially in that semifinal matchup. So you're going to have a really good, matchup as well to get to the goal game.
Jared?
100-1 is crazy. Like, he is so big and strong and fast. And you can say that about everybody, but like, he's so much bigger and stronger and faster. And because he plays for Buffalo, we've never seen him in a high leverage spot. This seems like the type of tournament that he could like really could be like his breakout moment because he plays for the fucking Sabres.
And he's coming in with a lot of confidence. Jared mentions it, playing for Buffalo, and Buffalo is all of a sudden found themselves in a playoff spot now. The vibes are high in Buffalo for the first time in a long time.
Ever.
So yeah, for first time ever, it feels like. That's right. And so Tage is coming in feeling good. They're winning games in Buffalo. I like that call. I like that number. I had Kyle Connor written down here for someone to look out for US in terms of goal scoring. I think I brought him up last year when we talked about Four Nations. He didn't even play the gold medal game in Four Nations. They thought we don't want him out there. We want a different look in the roster. Well, they lost that game by 1 goal in overtime. I hope they learned their lesson. And like myself and Meaney said, they did leave a lot of really good goal scorers at home. One good goal scorer that they did bring is Kyle Connor. I would expect him to get some looks on the power play, looks in that top 6, and he is as good of a finisher as the league has. So Kyle Connor, somebody I'd be looking to.
One more guy, Pat, I just wanted to jump in is Matt Boldy at 35-1, right? Like, again, we're kind of speculating what Team USA can do, and I really do like Brady Tkachuk. I thought he was phenomenal at the Four Nations faceoff. But Matt Boldy is also among the leaders in goals. I could see him maybe getting some power play one time. Quint Hughes wasn't there for Team USA. That's a big boost. Like Werenski was great, but Hughes didn't play because of the injury, and there's some chemistry there on that power play in Minnesota between him and Boldy. And Matt Boldy at 35-1. I thought it was silly that they had Kyle Connor as a healthy scratch, but I think part of it was because Boldy moved himself up. I believe he started on the fourth line with Larkin, and all of a sudden these guys were playing more minutes than Matthews and Jack Hughes. They were the third line, but essentially the second best line for them. So Boldy's another guy. They could do a couple different things where Canada's line seems set, where there's a couple players where Team USA, a couple of really elite wingers that could move themselves up throughout the tournament.
I know it's a very small sample, and we haven't seen much of the NHL players in the Olympics. I think it's been 5 times, 4 times, whatever it might be. But the USA only has 2 medals since the Olympics came back with NHL players, and they were both losses to Canada in the gold medal game in Salt Lake City and in Vancouver on the NHL ice. They haven't sniffed the medal round, Jake, in any of these European places with the Olympic-size ice. And listen, like Tony Amonte is not walking through that door here. Like,
nice shout.
Like, are they going to, like, are they a classic? Oh, they came 5th because they just couldn't handle the bigger ice.
Well, that could be an issue. And yeah, like you said, Tony Amonte is not going to, no Mike Modano, no Chris Chelios. We're not getting those guys coming through at any point. But I do think that could be an adjustment, even for Team Canada. The argument I would make for the US, and I'm not backing them in terms of winning this tournament, but if I were to try to make an argument for them against some of those numbers that you just read and the fact that the history isn't with them, when NHL players have been there. It's been a long time. It's been 12 years since the NHL players have been there. And the US has made a lot of strides in that 12 years in terms of catching up to a Canada and basically being right on par with them. I know the Four Nations is a very small sample size, and they played each other a couple times. US won one of the games. Canada won the more important game in the final. So I think it's razor thin between these two teams. So I'm not saying I would totally disregard history, but I think it's been long enough now, and the US has made so many strides in that decade plus that we haven't brought players that I think they feel very confident about their chances.
You guys, the only team that we haven't talked about who has like reasonable odds, I mean, they're not reasonable odds, they're in with the Canada group, is Switzerland. Any takes on top goal scorers for Switzerland? Any good value there? Plus Suter, is he a real guy?
He's a real guy.
He is real.
But I wouldn't be looking at him. It wouldn't be. I mean, he could play a big role. I mean, I could see him maybe as the second line center. They're pretty top heavy here with Kevin Fiala, Timo Meier, Nico Hischier. Meier and Hischier play together in New Jersey, so I would imagine that they're on a line together, and I could see them maybe potentially loading up and having those three. But with some of these teams, you probably have to have some sort of balance. But I'd say all of those guys in their power play. I don't know what Roman Josi, I know he's a defenseman, but I could see him playing 25, 27 minutes a night. He's a shooter. He could essentially lead the team in shots. I don't know what his number is, Pat, but I would imagine it's larger than maybe 6-1, potentially lead the team in goals.
Who did you say it was?
Roman Josi.
21-1.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, it's a crazy long shot.
Yeah.
I'd probably pick a guy like maybe Timo Meier, but if you're looking for a long shot, Roman Josi is probably going to be among the leaders in usage rate. And
their blue line isn't horrible. Obviously, Yossi's just a stud, but they got JJ Moser, they got Siegenthaler, they have some NHL guys on the back end. So I wouldn't take them in terms of trying to win a medal or anything like that. But I think a game by game basis, I wouldn't totally disregard the Swiss. The game against the Czechs that they're going to play, that'll be a huge game. Probably will decide second place in that group. So I do have my eye on the Swiss as a team that maybe could pull off an upset at some point in the tournament. Long term, not looking at them for a medal here, guys. But I don't think that they're a total pushover either. They've got some NHL players, and they're bringing an NHL goaltender in Akira Schmidt as well.
Jake, we'll start with you on this one. Gold, silver, and bronze predictions for the men's Winter Olympics hockey tournament.
Okay, so I'll do a little shock the world for my last one, but I am going to go Canada. Like I said off the top, Pat, if you wanted me to take Slovakia, you should have invited a Slovakian guy to come on. I'm taking Canada. I'll show my colors on that one, but I do think that they're the best team. If they could get some goaltending, I like Canada to win gold. I'm going to take them to beat Finland in the gold medal game. I think the Finns get through. I think they're going to be really pesky as they always are. And why not round it out with a little bit of an upset pick? I'll take Germany to win the bronze here, guys. So nice. Canada, Finland, Germany. Not your conventional podium that I think you'll see out there, but I'm going to go out on a limb here. Go Canada, Finland, Germany.
Meaning?
I have a final four of USA, Germany, Canada, Sweden. I just feel like the group that USA is in, they are going to have a lot of success in that group, and they're going to have the best matchup. Where I think there could be an upset, guys, is like Sweden versus Canada, that 2-3. Like, that wouldn't surprise me at all. USA gets the easier matchup in the semis. They punch their ticket to the gold medal game, but I do have Canada winning against USA. And I just think that the value throughout this tournament may be with a team like Germany. Again, we've talked about them quite a bit. They got a couple good matchups. They can score some goals. They'll probably have low team totals. Maybe they get good goaltending and they can hang in. You can take them on the reverse puck line. But I do have Canada. I just think they're too top heavy. They have the best two players in the world up front offensively in McDavid and McKinnon. Crosby still can bring it. Celebrini's a nice young player, and Makar missed a couple games at the Four Nations faceoff as well. So to have him fully healthy is huge. And I think at the end of the day, we've said it, USA, they just didn't bring those goal scorers. Connor Hellebuck hasn't shown us that he can win the big game, and they need somebody who can score in clutch situations. And I know it sounds silly to say, but Canada has just a full roster of guys who have won in big situations, have multiple Stanley Cups, and you can count on one hand how many cups Team USA has. So I'm going with Canada too. It's kind of chalky.
The best bets for the men's Winter Olympics from coolbet.com. Again, if you're in Canada, outside of Ontario, go play on Coolbet. Go get yourself a nice bonus down in the description as well. We already have the PME exclusive boost from the best bet show overall that I did with Morency. That's up there right now. It pays plus 525. It's Norway most golds, Italy mixed doubles curling, and USA women's gold medal in hockey. Those three together play plus 525. But for hockey, here's what I got. So I'm going to run down what we talked about in the show. USA most goals in the round robin plus 140. Sweden minus 4.5 parlayed with Germany minus 1.5 in the opening games pays plus 315. Yes. Celebrini plus 30-1 for most goals in the tournament, 7-1 for most Canada goals. Kyle Connor 25-1 most USA goals, or Boldy 35-1 for most USA goals. Thompson, most goals in the tournament at 100-1 from USA. Zabinajad, 15-1 for most Swedish goals. Someone named Nekas on Czechia, 6-1 for most Czechia goals. That sound about right?
Yeah. I'll add Rupe Hintz in there for Finland to lead Finland in goals at plus 750. I think Mikko Rantanen could certainly do it. I know he's the favorite, but Mikko's a bit of a playmaker as well. And those two have some pretty good chemistry. So Rupe Hintz is going to play on that top line and first power play. But yeah, you got it, Pat. I mean, have some fun. I mean, there's going to be some adjustments throughout. Again, lines, we're just kind of speculating. We may see a couple surprises on just like teams that won't medal, but maybe we can attack them from a game-to-game basis on the puck line or maybe some point props. So we'll certainly have you covered over at the NHL with point props every day.
All right. So yeah, that's what you can get that over at NHL.com.
Yeah, absolutely. NHL.com. We have some rankings there. So some for the sickos out there that want to play in Olympic pools. So we have some top 150 players there, but we'll have props and goal scorers and shot props. I thought the market was pretty good, and a cool bet we'll have you taken care of as well. But yeah, we'll have some fun with it throughout the couple weeks.
Cool Bet's got you covered in Canada, outside of Ontario. Underdog will have you covered on these props for the individual games. Everywhere else in North America, if you want to go play that, code Mayo will get you a deposit bonus of up to $1,000 at Underdog. Plus, you play a $5 pick'em entry on higher, lower shots, goals, whatever it might be. You instantly get $75 into your account. So, Jake, why wouldn't you do that?
I mean, I need that. I desperately need that. It's some free money to play with for the Olympics. I could waste it on biathlon, curling, men's ice hockey, women's ice hockey. There's a lot of options. And Pat, I love the coverage of the Winter Olympics here. I don't know if you're going to keep it going throughout the games, but it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. I love the Winter Olympics. I'm a big fan, and I'm excited to maybe take a little bit of a break from the NHL and dig into some of these sports and I'll pretend like I'm an expert on them for a little while.
When are you live on SiriusXM NHL during the week?
1 to 3 Eastern, I host The Point, which Meaney jumps on with me every once in a while as well. And I always, he always brings his wisdom, and I love when Meaney comes on. So yeah, 1 to 3 Eastern, Monday to Friday, and that'll continue through the NHL pause right up until the trade deadline. It's an exciting time to be a hockey fan. So yeah, if you're looking for some Olympic coverage, and like I said, me pretending I know about curling or biathlon, things like that, tune into the show over the course of February.
What is that on the Sirius XM dial? What channel?
Channel 91 on the Sirius XM dial in the mess of sports channels there.
Perfect. Smash the like while you're here. Give me your best bets down in the comment section. Please leave a rating and review on the audio podcast on Apple or Spotify. Tremendous help. And sub to Mayo Media Network. There are 3 Olympic shows out already now as of the time you're watching this. So that's plenty. You can rewind on the channel and go check out the hardest sports, the most fun sports, the best bets, and now the complete hockey preview. That'll do it for my Winter Olympics coverage. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!